So in this video I'm going to look at a simple if statement. Now there's a slight difference to Python, but it's not a major one. So here I am just getting them to enter their height, and I'm reading it into a float called height, surprisingly enough. Now, let's imagine there are three situations on this ride at a theme park. If you're less than 1.2 meters tall, you cannot ride the ride. If you're less than 1.6 but greater than or equal to 1.2, you have to have an adult with you. And if you're taller than 1.2, then you can go on the ride, whatever. Okay, so there's three situations. Too small, need an adult, you're fine. Okay, so this would be very similar in Python. So we just do if height less than 2. Now in C#, you have to have brackets around the condition here. Okay, so if height is less than 1.2, then we're going to write you under the minimum height. Now here in C# and a lot of languages do this, they don't have elif, they have else and if. Else if. I don't know if Python really improves a lot with the elif, but they just do else if. But there we go. And then of course I've got an else at the end to do the third option. Now you will make note that there's no colon or anything like that, because C# doesn't use colons. If you've got one line of code, you just put it on that line. If we have multiple lines going on, then we would of course use curly braces to write more than one line, like pi equals 0, whatever we want to do. Be weird. Yeah, I mean, you could just for no reason put them all on different lines like this. But if you've only got one command, you don't need the curly braces. You can just put it on the same line as the else. And sometimes if I've got two really small commands, like maybe I'm doing something really simple, really small, I might do the curly braces, because you don't need to put the curly braces on new lines. You just need to have the semicolon between them, and then I can put, say, height equals, I don't know, whatever we're going to do, height equals 12, whatever, and then put the curly brace there. So like they're in curly braces, they're two commands, but they're on the same line, something that you can't really do in Python, which can be quite good, especially if you're just doing something simple like increasing a variable or something. But obviously the other way would be to write it like this. But don't worry too much about how things look like that, because in reality, you may or may have not noticed these little minus boxes in Visual Studio, but you can actually click those to to drop the code away, and then you don't see it. And people always do that. So if you want to go in, you click it out and in. I mean, they may do it to a whole function or to a whole method, procedure, whatever. And then you would only expand it when you look at it. But yeah, so that's how you do it. It's not much different. So now let's take this new program that I've placed here, which is just going to get someone to enter a new password in. I'm not going to do anything about checking it's the same twice or doing anything like that, although I could do that. But I'm just going to check the length of the password. So I've created an integer called plength, so I'm just going to get the length of the password. So you do that in Python by writing the string variable name and the dot length. There's a lot of cool things with strings that you get used to by writing dot. It'll have dot trim, dot to lower, dot to upper. Similar in Python, but obviously now we have a good idea, you can actually see some of the things there. But anyway, I'm going to do dot length, and that's going to give us the length as an integer. So now I've got the length of the password. Okay, so I can put that there. So let's say the password's got to be between 8 and 16 characters inclusive, so that means it can include 8. So I do if plength greater than equal to 6 and plength, and I'll come back to that, less than 16, then we'll put console dot write line excellent, else, I don't know, I didn't even need to do the braces actually. I'm just going to, just for simplicity of the video, I'll just put it on the same line. Trying to, I don't know, incorrect, whatever. And then I run it, and if I write ABC, ISD, incorrect. And if I write ridiculously long password. Also incorrect. Now you can see here that you're thinking that doesn't look like and. Well, now the reason for these is they're logical. So these are the logical symbols for and or. On my keyboard, this is called pipe, by the way. It's shift and there's a key next to Z that does it on my keyboard. That's or, and that's and. And so, and don't forget, just in case you've forgotten with it, if that's equals to, but that's the same in Python. So you do double equals. So there's equals or an and then not equal to would be that in Python, because so for example, I mean I could so I'll show you as well. So let's say we want a password that we'll do it the other logical way around. Okay, so we'll say if password is less than 6 or password length is greater than 16, and then we swap the logic round. So now we're checking the negative. We're checking if the password was too short or it was too long. And that will work as well. So if we then write one that's just right, excellent. And then we'll do the opposite. We'll write one that's one letter and it's incorrect. So they're the or and and. Or is double pipe, and is double and. I know it seems strange, but these are because that is what they're called. They're to do with something called bitwise operations, which we'll look at later about. Well, you do know about them, oring and anding. When you do or and and circuits, they have a more. They look similar to how they do those sort of things, and technically that is how it is sort of done. You know when you're in the processor is checking or and and. So anyway, and not equal to. So for example, let's just say we did get them to enter their password twice. So. String password 2. I did something dumb there. Password equals con. By the way, you can hit tab, by the way, when you're doing that to go on to the next one, and it will copy. It'll finish the thing for you. So now we're entering the two passwords, one after the other, and now we're going to check if they're not equal to each other. So if password is not equal to password 2, then we're going to do console.writeLine no match. I'm not going to write an else because you've got the gist of how to use this now. And there we go. So, better not write no match. I didn't put enter password again, which I probably should have done. But you get a gist. Whereas if we write the matching, then they don't say anything because that's not what I said to do, which is fine. So they're the different ones. Okay, not equal to. So you've got equals to, not equals to, greater than equal to, less than equal to. I think that's all the ones you need. Obviously, you've got greater than and less than. Okay, just like in Python, except I'm not sure. I can't remember if they use that in Python or they use. Sometimes you see that, but that is better. In my mind, that's the better one because that means not, and then it's like not equal. Anyway, but yeah, there we go. And then the and or just and or like that. But you'll get used to those as you go on, and obviously, you know, logically in a test you'd get away with writing and or. But we really do want to focus on getting the language right, and you'll get used to it quite quickly. It's not that difficult. You don't often use and an amazing amount anyway. Or and you might do, but you just think it's double ampersand. You know, it's not too difficult. The or one's a bit more tricky because find the key on the keyboard. But on my keyboard, it's the left of Z. Sometimes it's top left key. But there you go. So that is if statements done.